All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Kiana Ayala. I'm one of the program managers for Money Coach, and I'm joined today by...
Hi, everybody. I'm Maria Fuller. I'm the volunteer manager at SecureFutures, and we're just so grateful that you're here with us today.
Yes, we are. And today we are going to talk about one-on-one coach training. So before we dive into our agenda for today, I just wanted to familiarize y'all with some other individuals that you may receive communications from. In addition to myself and Maria, we have Stephanie Crosley, who is the other program manager for Money Coach. We also have Kristen Rule. She is the VP of all programs. And last, but of course not least, we have Felicia Fluker, who is our who is our program and data success manager. So again, those are other members of our team that you may hear from. So today's training is specifically for one-on-one coaches. So we're going to provide you with a good understanding of the role and the responsibilities that relate to it. So we're going to talk about the new structure for check-ins because the program is going to be in person. We're going to talk about the financial goal checklist and how to use it during your check-in sessions, how to build relationships with students. And we're also going to talk about team dynamics and the Money Coach portal.
So as you all probably know, SecureFutures' mission is to provide financial literacy programs and resources that empower students to make sound financial decisions. So this year we celebrated impacting over 100,000 students, which is such a huge deal. And it's thanks to volunteers like all of you that we're able to do this work. So we're really grateful that you all are able to help us out and be Money Coaches. So Money Coach is just, of course, one of 3 programs we offer. Money Sense is our foundational lessons where we have 3 different 90-minute lessons, and we'll be incorporating some of that into Money Coach. Money Path is our financial planning application, which you'll also be using as part of Money Coach. But today, obviously, we're talking about Money Coach. So to give you sort of a high-level view of Money Coach, of course, it's our semester-long financial mentoring program that provides teens with coaching guidance to develop strong money management habits and long-term financial capability. So this program runs for 11 weeks. This semester, there will be 6 group sessions and 5 one-on-one check-ins. Of course, you guys will be doing those check-ins. Most programs will run from September to December. And 3 of the really big takeaways that we want students to go away from the program with are that tracking expenses, really being able to look at what they're spending, what they're saving, and just being able to do that, as well as budget. Part of the program is we're helping them develop a budget. As a one-on-one coach, you'll really be walking through that with them and supporting them as they start to make that a habit. And then we want students to end up with a bank account and to be able to have that direct deposit working for them as well. So those are 3 of the big takeaways that we want students to really understand and leave the program being confident in those areas. Money Coach is a voluntary program, so students in this program are choosing to be there. We're not just going into a classroom and presenting. The students really want to be there and really want to learn and build relationships with all of you. So in order to participate, students have to complete some enrollment forms, which Kiana is going to click on. So in this enrollment packet, the students are going to fill out some of this information. And basically it's, parent guardian consent. There's some registration forms, participation agreements, as well as information about their direct deposit and information on the sessions that they're going to be attending. So they will get this. And this is something that students just have to fill out to be a part of this program. As part of this program, students can receive up to $350 as a scholarship. So as they complete different assignments or check-ins, they can get scholarship money. So if a student goes through the program and does all of these checkpoints, they can receive up to $350. So as a one-on-one coach, you're helping them do some of those check-ins and stuff like that. So it's just a great opportunity for students to get that money. And so the Money Coach Handbook also is a great reference to just talk about descriptors of the program. You'll be receiving that handbook, a physical copy of that later on, but we also have it electronically, and it just sort of outlines all the information that you're going to need as a one-on-one coach.
Does anyone have any questions about the program overview? All right, moving right along.
Great.
Okay, so as a one-on-one coach, you'll be matched on sites based off of your availability. So what I will do is send out an email with all of the dates and times for the check-in sessions, and I will ask one-on-one coaches to send me their top preferences, and then I will match people based off of their availability. So keep an eye out for that if you haven't either sent me your selections or if you haven't seen a confirmation from me. As we mentioned earlier, there will be a total of 5 check-ins that happen during the week in between the group sessions. And these check-ins are 90 minutes in length. So we are asking our one-on-one coaches to be available during that whole 90-minute block. And we'll talk more about the structures of the sessions momentarily. As a one-on-one coach, you'll be matched with up to 4 students. That is our ratio. After you are done meeting with your student, please send the program manager an email so that way we can give students credit for meeting with you. As Maria mentioned previously, students do earn money for completing various benchmarks. The check-in is one of them. They earn $20 per check-in that they complete. In addition to attending the check-in sessions, we also ask our one-on-one coaches to attend orientation. Orientation will take place a week prior to the program starting, and it is essentially like the program kickoff. So a program manager will come to the site to talk to the students about the logistics of the program, go over expectations. We will also introduce the enrollment forms that students need to complete and then get them set up with their Money Coach portal account. Then we'll pass it over to the group coaches to do a brief intro. And then the rest of the time will be allocated to one-on-one coaches and their students getting to know each other, kind of build up a rapport before they officially begin their check-ins. I also want to remind our coaches that if you are running late or need to be absent for a check-in, to please let me know as soon as possible so we can make the necessary accommodations. Any questions about the time commitment for one-on-one coaches? All right, now we're still chugging along. Okay, so over the summer, Steph and I spent a lot of time reviewing the feedback that we received from everyone involved. And one of the big trends that we noticed was the impact of one-on-one check-ins. You know, it was very difficult for the one-on-one coaches to find a time to meet with students. They feel like they weren't really able to build a relationship and kind of engage with students in that virtual setting. And then also students felt like they didn't really see the benefit or the purpose of the check-ins. They felt like check-ins was just kind of like a repeat of what was going on during the group sessions. So we wanted to take all that feedback into consideration and kind of come up with a new structure for check-ins moving forward. So what we decided to do is have check-ins happen on site. So the one-on-one coaches will come to the site to meet with their students. For the first portion of the check-in, the one-on-one coach will meet with all of their students in a small group to work on an activity that relates to the group session prior to. So on the next couple of slides, I will break down what the topics and the activities look like for each one of those check-ins. After you met in a small group for about 20 minutes, then you will meet individually with each student for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then that's when you'll have that individual check-in. During this time, your other students will be waiting in another space until it is time for them to check in with you. And then once they're done checking in with you, they can return back to class. Now, what sets Money Coach apart from our other programs is that mentorship component. You know, students being able to meet one-on-one with someone and kind of have that tailored support specifically to them. So as the mentor, you are essentially being a support system for the student over the course of the program. So answering any questions that they might have that they may not feel comfortable discussing in a large group setting, making sure that you're holding them accountable. So reminding them about upcoming due dates, reminding them to complete their enrollment forms, things of that nature, and then also helping them build or kind of instill those practices. So helping them with goal setting. One way that you'll be doing that is through the financial goal checklist. So the financial goal checklist helps students develop and work towards their goals. This should be used at every check-in that you have with your students to ensure that they're on track for completing tasks and working towards their goals. In addition to working on the financial goal checklist during your check-ins, it's also important to remind students about the expense tracker, as that is one of the big assignments that students work on during the course of the program, and is also one of the big takeaways from the program. And then making sure that they are creating their budget and sticking to it, because again, we want to work on establishing those habits. So now I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the financial checklist and how to use it during your sessions. So this is the coach version of the financial goal checklist. There is also a student version that is available in the portal. So the cool thing about this version is that you have a place where you can jot down notes about your students. And this is also a great place for you to put kind of like what's going on with your students. So that way you have a better understanding of their lives and what they have going on. So if they have a job, you can list it here. If they are involved in sports or extracurricular activities, you can jot it here. You can even jot down some of their personal interests that you can follow up with, like, hey, I know that you've been watching this TV show. I was watching it too. Did you see the season finale? To kind of help continue to build that relationship with the student. So that's the purpose of this notes section. But essentially every section of the financial goal checklist relates back to the program. So for example, one of the takeaways we have is for students to open up their bank account and learn how to manage it. So these are some kind of like checklist reminders for students to keep in mind. So did they open up their bank account? Did they set up their online or mobile banking? What are some action steps that they need to complete in order to have their bank account set up? Also working with students on developing a habit to save. So talking to them about what are their savings goals, how much they want to put aside each week or each month to work up towards those saving goals. They have a place where they can jot all of that down. Next, we have a section about expense tracking and budgeting to kind of see what their game plan is. Are they tracking their expenses? What method are they using? What is their plan for saving? What is their plan for saving? What is their plan for spending? And then again, jotting down specific reminders related to that. We also have a lesson that is about money path, where students will begin to explore their options for life after high school, so they can jot down what that looks like for them. So are they planning to go to college right after high school? If so, what are some things they need to research? If they're not going to college and they want to enter the workforce, have they started exploring their options? Have they started looking into pay and salary, stuff like that? So again, making sure that you're using this checklist at the start of every check-in session to make sure students are actively working towards these goals. Any questions about how to utilize the financial goal checklist? All right, and we're still chugging along.
I do have a question, actually.
Oh, yes, Steve.
So is this going to be in paper, like in paper form? Is that how we go into the, into the one-on-one sessions, and you kind of maintain it that way? Or is there like an online, version that you can edit and save and all that?
Yeah, great question. So there isn't a hard copy of the financial goal checklist. We only have an electronic version. And in the Money Coach Handbook, we have a hyperlink that takes you to that fillable PDF that I just showed you.
Okay, so in the one-on-one sessions, we should have like a laptop or a iPad or whatever. Is that the best way to do it?
Yeah, I think that would be a good way to go about it. If you want, you can also print it out and then kind of take a hard copy with you and jot notes that way. It would kind of be more of a personal preference if you would prefer to use electronic copy on like a tablet or something, or if you want to bring hard copies.
Yeah, I just want to know, I mean, if I'm doing it per student, am I able to save it? It'll save online, I guess, right? Where,
Oh, so you can like save multiple copies of
yeah,
that doc. Yes.
great, thank you.
Awesome. Good question, Steve. Any other questions?
Can I just follow up on Steve's? So the students, will they have a Chromebook or something that they have this all electronically as well, or do they still have the printed student workbook?
So we will have hard copies of the student workbook, and then electronic copies will be available through the portal.
Okay.
So if you're working with an NPS site, NPS does provide each student with a Chromebook. As far as like schools outside of that district or CBOs, I will follow up with those specific sites to let you know what kind of technology those students will have available.
And is the expectation that the students are actually getting on their Chromebooks during the one-on-one check-ins? Or is this going to be sort of a little bit of maybe student preference?
It would be a student preference, especially because for some of the activities, we do have hard copies, so they might not necessarily need their Chromebook, but at the same time, if they're showing you their expense tracker, it would be best practice for them to have it up so they can show it. So I might have to make a note of that to tell site partners to have it just available.
Mhm.
So that way y'all can see like their budgets and their expense trackers and stuff.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Okay. So next we are going to break down the content for the one-on-one session. So when you are meeting with your students, again, making sure that you are checking in with them about their financial goal checklist, their expense tracker, and their budget. So for the first check-in, the topic will be expense tracking. So during this activity, you will do Tiffany's budget. So this budget might be familiar to our returning coaches. This used to be an activity that took place during the expense tracking budget lesson. I believe during the second group session, we have moved it now to the first one-on-one check-in. So in the coach handbook, you will see the answer key to Tiffany's budget that you can use when working on this assignment with your student. For the second check-in, the topic will be identity theft. So to provide you with more context, the first lesson is called Check It Out, and group coaches will be covering a Prezi presentation. That Prezi presentation will be covered during the first and second group session, as well as the second one-on-one check-in. So essentially what y'all will be doing during this check-in is completing that presentation, because the last section of that presentation is on identity theft. So in the coach handbook, there will be some discussion questions for you to use to have a conversation with the students around identity theft. So talk about how to protect yourself, what to do in the event that your identity is stolen, things of that nature. For the third check-in, the topic will be on money path. So this will be essentially a continuation of that money path discussion that they're having in class. So talking to them about their experience with money path, and then start to kind of do some goal setting around that specific path that students have created for themselves. So having a conversation of like what type of budget they need to create for themselves, what type of saving, if they need to do some more exploration or some research to kind of help fine tune their decision. You're kind of helping students walk through that discussion. And then again, there are discussion questions in the coach handbook to kind of help you lead these check-ins with the students.
So it sounds like in the actual class that week before that they will walk through that MoneyPath app. Are they still doing that?
Yep. So the group
Okay.
coach will give a demo of MoneyPath,
Yeah.
and students will have some time to create a couple of paths. And then during the one-on-one check-ins, you will discuss those paths.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. In the fourth check-in, you're going to talk about credit. Credit is going to be covered over 2 group sessions. So after, for the first check-in, you're going to have a conversation with students about credit. So in the previous group session, they will be given the assignment of a credit interview where they will have to talk to someone in their circle about their relationship with credit, like what do they learn and stuff like that. The objective is for students to get comfortable having conversations around finance and then kind of have an exchange of information, given an opportunity for them to share what they're learning in their class. So during the check-in, you will have a discussion around what students learned from their credit interviews, and then have a conversation on like good versus bad credit, how to have credit work for them, things of that nature. Then for the fifth and final check-in, it will be a program wrap-up. So for this, it's going to be kind of like a tying up the loose ends of like the previous group sessions. So for the group session right before this, students are going to have a conversation about making big purchases. So one group is going to talk about making a purchase for a car, and another group is going to talk about renting an apartment and kind of like all the steps that go into it. So during this check-in, if students didn't complete that conversation, you will continue it. And then also having a conversation about the topics covered over the course of the program and kind of answering any last-minute questions that they might have. Also, during the last check-in, it's important to talk to your students about relationships after the program has ended. So do you still want to stay in contact? If so, what does this look like? How often do you want to meet? Do you still want to meet like over the phone, or did you want to meet in person? So just discussing what this relationship looks like. We do encourage our students to stay in contact with the coaches to still serve as that mentor, to still serve as that support system. So having that conversation is kind of like the main focus of that final check-in. Does anyone have any questions about the structure of the check-ins or any of the activities or topics? All right, still moving along. So next, I want to talk briefly about the Money Coach portal. So the Money Coach portal is our one-stop shop for all of the materials related to Money Coach. So this is where students can find their enrollment packet. This is where students can find the materials that they need to complete, as well as submit those assignments. As a one-on-one coach, you will receive notifications whenever a student submits their assignment, so that way you can provide feedback. So again, those assignments that students will complete over the course of the program is that expense tracker and that monthly budget. All right, is everyone able to see the home page for the portal? Okay, so this is what the students see when they log into the portal. So at the top, we have a bunch of how-to videos that kind of help you learn how to navigate through the portal. And then we also have a program journey where each box represents a week of the program. And this is where students can go to find the assignments or materials that relate specifically to that lesson. So for example, for the first one-on-one check-in, students will work on Tiffany's budget. So when they click on that one-on-one check-in box, they will be able to find Tiffany's budget where they're able to pull it up. As well as a discussion guide that goes over, oops, uh-oh. Oh, it looks like I got to send the developers an email, so that's not the right link. Let me see, I can go back and show you another example. But there are essentially session guides that tell students what they need to work on in between. There we go. They let students know what they need to work on in between the group sessions and the check-ins. So as a coach, you will be given a student version access as well as a coach dashboard. So the coach dashboard will allow coaches to see kind of more of the back end of how students are utilizing the portal. So you'll be able to see whether or not they've logged in, how often they log in. You'll be able to see whether or not they submitted assignments, if they are clicking on materials and reading them, stuff like that. So just to provide coaches with more information to use when they're following up with their students. So we'll be providing everyone with more information on how to utilize the coach dashboard once it's up and ready. And then one thing that I also want to mention is login credentials. So all coaches will receive an email that has the username and the password you will need to be able to log in to the portal. So just keep an eye out for that. And if you or your students run into any issues while using the portal, please reach out to the program manager so we can help resolve them as soon as possible. Any questions about the portal?
So if we haven't volunteered before, when can we anticipate gaining access?
The goal is for you to have access prior to you starting your session. So we are still like in the last stages of like finalizing the portal and getting everyone's accounts set up. So again, just keeping an eye out for an email with additional information on how to access the portal and set up your accounts.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Are the program managers also going to go through any kind of like a training on the websites? I found in past sessions that the students come to us a lot for if they're struggling with how to get on the system and all of that, which I think we're happy to help with. But I always felt like, there should be, maybe like a general person that they go to, because it would take up a lot of the time of the one-on-ones to be honest.
Yeah. So I would say if students are having portal issues, refer them to the program manager.
Okay.
There are the how-to videos that kind of help you like learn how to navigate it. I can see if we can schedule like a quick follow-up training for the coaches specifically on the portal to kind of help get y'all more comfortable on how to use it and kind of help y'all like kind of give you some tips and tricks on how to like better support the students when it comes to utilizing the portal.
Yeah, I was more asking if the program managers are getting that kind of training, because I mean, these systems are pretty complicated and people have not, the students are not comfortable with it. It's a lot, right? It's a lot at once. And if you guys are saying to have them kind of refer them to the program managers, I guess I just want to make sure the program managers are getting time to really get comfortable with as well on how to move around in it.
Yeah, so we do have weekly meetings with the developers of the portal. So it's easier for us to kind of ask those questions and get the answers in a timely manner. And they do like kind of train us about like the back end of the portal. So we kind of have a better understanding of what's going on.
And maybe just to add on, maybe Steve is talking about the school leaders. And
Oh,
maybe
like the
it's
site
something,
partners.
right?
Yeah,
And
I'm
maybe,
sorry, exactly, the site partners. Thank you, Rochelle. Yeah.
yep, no problem.
Yes, I do believe that would be a great idea, because unfortunately we did have the site partners training prior to the portal being officially done, so we weren't able to give them like the whole overview of the portal. But I do think that it would be beneficial to have the site partners more familiar with the portal, because I can see like during the day when they're at school, I can see students going up to their teacher, you know, kind of asking them to help them resolve their
Well,
issues and stuff.
Also, does it make sense to maybe start to cover it in the orientation, like have them try to log in? So
Yes, so we do have a plan to have students create their accounts during orientation. So that's actually part of the program manager section, in addition to talking about like the logistics and the enrollment forms and stuff like that. We will take some time to have the students log in, create accounts, so that way they are familiar with it and know how to access it before the program starts. Good questions, y'all. Any other questions or portal feedback? Okay. All right. So next, we're going to talk about the team members that make up the team at each site and how to utilize them. So first up, we have the group coaches. The group coaches are mainly responsible for facilitating the lessons at the site. So they are responsible for facilitating the lessons, student engagement, make sure that they understand the content, things of that nature. The site partner serves as our point of contact at the sites. So they are your go-to person if you have any questions or concerns regarding students. So if you're having trouble engaging with the students, or if the students come with you with any concerns, communicating that to the site partner so they could assist you with that. Lastly, we have the program manager. So the program manager serves as the bridge between all of the other members. So if you have any questions about the curriculum or the program, if you have any questions about the portal or running into issues with the students, we are there to support and assist you with that. Another piece of feedback that we received last semester is coaches didn't feel a sense of connection with the other coaches on the team. You know, they felt like they didn't know what was going on in the check-ins, and then the one-on-one coaches didn't know what was going on with the group sessions. So there was a sort of disconnect. So to eliminate that, we have introduced coach calls. So the purpose of the coach calls is for the coaches to build rapport amongst each other, especially because one-on-one coaches don't have to attend group sessions. It is optional for y'all. So it is bi-weekly check-ins with all the members of the team to share brief updates with each other. So how are things going in the group sessions? Where did you last leave off in the presentations? For the one-on-one coaches, you can share updates about your students. So if you notice that students aren't understanding the budgeting assignment, you can have the group coach reiterate those instructions. If you notice students are having similar questions, bring that up to the group coach so they can help answer those questions. So just kind of having a touch point for all the coaches to connect with each other. These coach calls are bi-weekly, and the structure is flexible. So it is up to y'all when you meet, and it is up to y'all whether or not you want to meet virtually or in person. Any questions about the coach calls?
I do have a question about that, Kiana. So it's up to the
Yes.
group, but who's supposed to lead getting that set up? Is that kind of left for the group coach to kind of start that process?
So it's essentially all the coaches coming together to find a date and time to meet. It's not necessarily the responsibility of the group coach. I do send out connecting emails between the site partner and the coaches to introduce themselves. Feel free to use that email chain to coordinate the coach calls and share updates with each other.
And that would be something good to maybe do at orientation since everybody's there, right? The group
Yeah.
coach and the individual coaches all go to the orientation.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, so as the one-on-one coach, because you were spending a lot of time one-on-one with the students, we want to share some tips about how to establish relationships with the students. First off, be patient. You know, stuff like this takes time. You know, we hope that with y'all being in person, it helps kind of help form that relationship faster, but just being mindful that students are meeting y'all for the first time. So it may take some time for them to feel comfortable. It may take some time for them to want to open up and stuff like that. So don't get discouraged if it isn't happening as quickly as you would like it to be. Second, talk about stuff besides finances. You know, like for example, the icebreaker that we did today had nothing to do with money, had nothing to do with finance. So using other topics as a way to identify similarities between you and the students, and again, help form that relationship. Sharing your story is another great way to form a relationship. Talk about things that that you failed at. Talk about times that you made mistakes. Again, using that as an opportunity for students to get to know you and to learn from you. Next is treating each student individually, meeting them where they are at. Yes, they are all high school students, but they all have their unique own experience, and also making sure that our coaches are mindful of that. Also, any progress in the right direction is good progress. Again, just kind of reminding coaches to be patient, understanding that we are planting seeds in our young folks, and even if we don't see the growth and the progression during the program, that does not mean that it isn't happening. And then also, if the progress isn't looking how we envisioned it, that also doesn't mean that progress isn't being made at all. Next is asking open-ended questions. You know, this is a way to dive a little bit deeper with the students. It's another way to get to know them better. In case you don't know, closed questions are questions that give the person an either or option, whereas open-ended questions leave it wide as in regards to like how students are able to respond. So for example, instead of saying, "Did you have a good day?" where it leaves the student with an option of yes or no, you can say, "How was your day?" which allows them to say like, "It was good, it was bad, it was stressful, I was happy, I was annoyed." So giving students a space to kind of show more of themselves. Involving the students in the process, you know, tailoring the goals specific to them, and then having them feel like they have a voice, helping them feel empowered, because we are talking about their financial journey and we want them to take charge and take the lead on that. And lastly, use your support. You know, you are not in this alone. So if you run into any troubles or have any concerns, you know, you can reach out to myself, the site partner, the group coach. You can also reach out to past one-on-one coaches who have done this before. You know, they can share their experience. They can share what has worked well for them, things of that nature. After this training, I will share a PDF that I received at a training that I went to, I believe earlier this year. It's called Becoming a Better Mentor. And this is a resource from Mentor, which is the national mentoring partnership that we have. And this was a great resource. I read it over the summer, and it covers different topics that will help you become a better mentor. So it talks about empathy. It talks about cultural humility, attunement, goal setting. So it's a easy read. You don't have to read it straight ahead. You can kind of jump around and stuff like that. And it's just another resource for you to use to kind of help sharpen your tools in regards to being a mentor. Okay. So next, I want to have a open discussion. I'm actually going to stop sharing so I can see everyone's face now. Hey, y'all. So next, I just want to have an open discussion to kind of talk about best practices for being a one-on-one coach. So first, I want to ask, how many new one-on-one coaches do we have today? And then how many returning one-on-one coaches? You want to go ahead and put that in the chat. You can kind of see what we're working with. You a new one-on-one coach? Or are you returning? Oh, okay. Looks like it's kind of, is it split in the middle? Kind of like 50-50. All right. So for our new one-on-one coaches, does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask our returners?
I noticed that on the MPS particular side, it asks you to log in when you have done your volunteer hours. Is that something that's necessary if you're working at an MPS location?
I can take that question. So because you're volunteering through us, you're considered an MPS volunteer, but you're not required to do all the things that MPS volunteers are required to do. So no, the answer is no, you don't have to do that. If you're at an MPS site, you will have to have a volunteer application and to be approved by MPS, but it's sort of a unique experience because you're technically a SecureFutures volunteer, not necessarily an MPS volunteer. That's a good question.
Perfect.
So can I follow that up? So that was a great question because I realized that I had gotten something from MPS regarding the volunteer piece. Do we need to update that volunteer agreement before we can come into the school?
Yes, you will have to, and I'll be sending out reminders to all of our money coaches, but yeah, you will have to do just a little bit of work. If you have an existing profile, and if you don't, you'll have to create one so you can volunteer. So yes.
Thanks.
Does any other new volunteer have any questions that they would like to ask our returners? All right, so returning one-on-one coaches, do you have any advice that you would like to share to our new volunteers? Any words of encouragement? It's okay if you don't.
I think just what you said, Kiana, is being patient, because it's interesting. Like it was my first time and we were virtual last year. And it was interesting because the students would be, I would say, more chatty over FaceTime. And then the times I was in the classroom, they were a little more clammed up. But I think just be patient, ask a lot of open-ended questions to try to get them to talk and stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would add that one of the things, because I did the in-class prior to the pandemic and then went through the various things, during the pandemic, and then, now we're going kind of back, but new format. The one thing I think that worked that was mentioned, I think when you're talking to, I mean, one, they're mostly juniors in high school, and anybody that's had kids that have been juniors in high school, I mean, it's a crazy year, right? I mean, it's like they got, they're starting to think about college or jobs, and, schoolwork is a lot. I mean, I think it is the one thing that I think that all the students liked was when you were going, hey, this is about, I'm going to share with you really dumb things that I did when I was young. And, even though you're going, everybody's from a background that's different. I think when your personal finances, it's real. So many of these kids are like working a lot, you know, they're dealing with car issues. I mean, it's so I think this just hits right into their lives. And so I always thought that was a good bonding thing. The program itself is a good bonding thing because I mean, they're dealing with all this and they like to talk about that, you know, they want a new car or their car is not working right now. And so I think, you know, every time I shared really, and it was for real things I did when I was 17 years old through college, I could tell that was like, okay, you know, this person is older and from a different culture than me, maybe, but it's like, yeah, they've been there and they remember kind of what's going on. So I don't know. I just think the general topic of how they're making it through financially, and the kids obviously are signing up for this, you know, themselves. So this is a great way to go into them sharing lives. I look forward to one-on-one again. Rochelle mentioned about the virtual last year when they were in class and we were virtual. That was the hardest combination, I thought, because it was hard to get one-on-one set up with them in school. But I think this will be great. I love this format of the back and forth. So yeah, so it seems like it could work really well again. And yeah, when you're there every time with them, you get this ongoing dialogue. Seem like, I mean, 90% of the students have just opened up, you know, over time.
Thanks, Steve.
My experience.
Thank you for that. To answer your question, Marissa, I will send out connecting emails once all of the slots have been filled for that site so I can match everybody up. So just please be patient, and then just keep an eye out for an email. You will get the email before that program starts. So we do have a couple starting this week, and then we also have some starting like the last week, and then we actually have a couple starting even in October. So just keep an eye out. I will make sure to send you all the dates and times prior to that starting.
Are the kids still getting paid per thing that they finish? I know you said the total amount prior, but is it still that they get kind of paid for assignments they put in for meeting with their coach? Okay.
Yep, the program structure is still the same. Students still get paid twice over the course of the program. So once at that midway point and then again at the end. If they do not have their direct deposit form submitted in time of that first round of payments, then they won't receive their money until the end after they submitted their direct deposit form. So again, making sure that you follow with your students to make sure that they get that in.
Another question, if students miss the one-on-one session, are we able to set up a virtual one-on-one with them by, you know, FaceTime or Teams or however you want to do it?
Yes, I totally forgot to mention it. Thank you, Steve. So if the student is absent the day of check-ins, it is their responsibility to reach out and schedule a time to meet with y'all before the next group session. If they do so, send us an email and they will still receive credit for completing their check-in. Thank you so much for asking that question, Steve. Totally forgot to mention it.
We're okay, and we're okay doing those virtual, obviously.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct, virtual. So it can either be via the phone or like a video call, like Zoom or Google Meet, something like that.
So is it going to be a set thing that they give us phone numbers or emails, or is that okay that we ask for that or see if they want to do that, to leave that option open?
So during orientation, you can exchange contact information with the students. We do prefer the check-ins to happen on site during the check-in day. This is just like an alternative if the students are absent that day.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? All right, So next. So up on the screen are the sites that are still in need of one-on-one coaches. In parentheses, I have the number of coaches needed for that specific site. So if you haven't sent me over your preferences, please make sure to do so as soon as possible. I will also send this information out in a follow-up email along with that Becoming a Mentor resource that I just talked about earlier. And then also keep an eye out for those connecting emails once I officially match everyone up with their sites. If any of these dates or times work for you, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm going to leave this up for a few minutes. And that concludes our one-on-one training for this afternoon. So for those of you who haven't attended the general training, I will see you this Saturday at the Mitchell branch, the Milwaukee Public Library Mitchell branch. And then also, if you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out. Looking forward to working with everyone this semester.